I've titled this video Joe's Quest, I guess in honor of what's happening actually when I took this trip was Kane's Quest. So this is the first time for me traveling out on the ocean, and the map you can see here, we went to a place called Duck Harbour and then around those areas and had a great time doing so. This is the first part of the video that's in two separate parts, as it was somewhat long and I didn't want to bore you. So we assembled on Saturday morning, and here's a picture of the team that grew from 3 earlier in the week to 7, but we had an enjoyable time. So guys, where are we headed today? Going Norman's Bay Trail, I guess. We got some rock here just in case we get stuck along the way, so we can put a bit of traction down, so hopefully that'll help, you know. But actually we're planning to go to, I think it's Stony Island. So hopefully we'll have a good day. It's about 8:30 here now, Saturday morning. The last member of the team is coming here now. We get ready to leave Charlottetown proper and just head down to the bay and then head towards the Norman Bay Trail, which is across the bay. It's a bright sunny day, a little bit chilly. Maybe in the morning it was about minus 22, 23 degrees, but it will warm up during the day. But here we're stopped as we need to fix the tarpaulin over one of our sleds so our equipment doesn't get full of snow. And then we head on the Groom Trail and North Trail that is evident. We take another little rest break here on the rise between the Cape Bluff Pond, and here is where there is a cabin that in days past was a very used cabin, as some stranded travelers would end up staying here for nights on end if the weather should change. Not used much now because of the newer machines and that, but it was a welcome sight for some of the travelers that would get stuck in a snowstorm or other conditions, as conditions can change on the Labrador very quickly. We are approaching the community of Norman Bay now, and for myself, this is the furthest point that I have been on, I guess, the Norman Bay Trail. My end was just going to the community and then heading back to Charlottetown. So after we passed through the community, I was getting on new territory, as I had never been out what I would call the open sea. And some of you might say it's not really the open sea, but for me it was brand new territory, and I wasn't familiar and was trusting the 6 individuals that I was traveling with as we headed across what I would call open water to the place or our destination, which would be Duck Harbour, which was on Stony Island. And we took some precautions as we went out, checking the ice a couple of times and just looking at some of the old remnants of days gone by, and talking with one of the gentlemen there. He told me that this was a fisheries cabin that was very much in use by the government of Canada in days past. So as we left Norman Bay proper, in front of us was a lot of what I would call sea ice, and we would traverse that as we made our way out to Stony Island. The gentleman here discussed the best route probably to take as some of them had been here earlier in the year already. And as I've mentioned earlier, that conditions change very quickly, and in some areas you could have a full bay of ice at one time and then come back the next week or even the next couple of days, and the ice, because of the wind and the change in the sea, and you're looking at open water. So I was a little bit concerned as I made this trek, but was trusting in the gentlemen that were leading the way. Still a chill in the air, but the wind has dropped out since we started, maybe about an hour or maybe 90 minutes ago. So it was good traveling on the ice, and here I've taken a bit of video myself as we make the last, I guess, kilometer to 2 kilometers across, like what I said earlier, the open bay ice, as we make our way out to Duck Harbour and Stony Island, which you can see directly ahead of us. I am the 6th skidoo or machine that's crossing here, and as you can see, the gentlemen have already made a good track for me to follow. And that's one of the things that I was told as a novice here, is make sure that I follow in the track that's been made for me. So on up in the cove of what I would think is Duck Harbour, the gentlemen are just waiting there and deciding how they're going to get around to where the trailer is, as the barricaders, I would find out, would be stopping them from taking this front on view of the island and getting up closer to the trailer and depositing the crushed stone that they have in their trailers, which is ultimately the reason that Ivan has made this trek today. But as you can see, the scenery is just beautiful. Might not be a good place to cut a load of wood, as there's not much out here. And I remember talking about the land that God gave to Cain, and I can understand why Labrador, in this area anyway, would be considered that land, as there's not much here in the way of vegetation, although its beauty is still unbeaten from just looking around at, as I scan across the countryside here, the rocks and the snow and the ice, and it's just phenomenal. But just traveling on this portion here, I'm wondering if you get the sensation of just traveling across an open section of ice, and you might have the woolies, as I think I have, putting my trust in these individuals in front of me. But overall, I didn't feel that I was in any danger at all, as the ice looked very safe. And we're traveling, probably, I am anyway, about 40 kilometers an hour as I make my way across this open section of water, frozen water, and then out to Stony Island and ultimately Duck Harbour. But you can see here the sun is still shining brightly, and up here to the right, I've been told that would be open water once you get up to the Narrows up that way. But here we're getting very close to Duck Island or Duck Harbour on Stony Island, and the gentlemen that you might be able to make out their snow machines are just ahead of us, as they're waiting for both myself and Ivan to get up to where they are. I realize that this section is a long piece of video, but I wanted to have, when I go back to home, I wanted to have this in my memoir, both in my memory, but also a visual representation of the travel that I did across this land and making our way to different parts of the Labrador that I've looked at on maps and read about in books, but now I'm experiencing traveling on the open ice or sea here in the big land. It's just phenomenal. I'm loving every moment of what I'm doing here and thankful to Ivan and the men that allowed me to make this excursion out to this unknown part of the land for me. So again, thank you, Ivan and team, for bringing me out here along with you guys. If you haven't noticed, it seems like I'm not traveling 40 kilometers an hour. In actuality, I am. It's just that I have slow motion on to, I guess, give me the effects of the land, the water, and the sea here. Just to, as I said earlier, to have something to refer back to, and the beauty here of the land as we near, I guess, the Duck Harbour and catch up with the gentlemen that are in front of us just waiting as we make this traverse across this open part of the Labrador Sea. Not knowing the area at all out here, I know that from talking with the gentleman, there are a lot of islands out here, and Stony Island and Hawk Island being two of the most notable to the group as we approach them. And Hawk Island that we will go alongside of in the next video, a place where there was a whaling station at one time on the opposite side of the island. But here, just looking as we're coming into the Narrows and catching up with the gentleman in front of us, you can see how we have traveled a fair distance across open water or ice. Just a short stop here to wait for us, but also the gentlemen are checking the ice to make sure it's safe enough to travel on. So then we get back on our machines and we head the last, I guess, few kilometers till we get to Duck Harbour and ultimately the trailer that Ivan and some members of this team dragged down here with a number of machines a few years ago and placed it where it is right now. And in talking to Ivan, when they landed the machine where you'll see that it is, they hardly moved it from its original position.
Duck Harbour.